Alright, how's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another Cup of Joe investing video. Today we're going to talk about IBM and their acquisition of Red Hat for $34 billion and why that is the final nail in the coffin of Watson. First, I want to go over Red Hat, some of the financials, some of what the company does, as well as IBM, its financials, and what that company does. For those of you that don't know, Red Hat is one of the largest open source cloud software platforms available right now. They are considered number one in their industry. And IBM is a dying old software company that has really taken a decline since the 90s and has been unable to keep up, and really made this acquisition as a last-ditch effort to stay alive. Red Hat mainly performs using Linux operating system, one of the most popular operating systems in the world. IBM has acquired them for $34 billion. That is nothing new for IBM. They have made previous acquisitions, many before, and this is their largest one by far. IBM bought SoftLayer a couple years ago for $2 billion, and they bought the Weather Channel for $2 billion. What the Weather Channel has to do with IBM, I'm not really too sure. I'm not sure if the Weather Channel is even profitable. I highly doubt it. Let's get into some of IBM's financials. IBM had revenue of $80 billion last year. They had net income of $5 billion, which means that not only are they a dying software company, but for a software company, that profit margin is absolutely atrocious. How do you have $5 billion in net income from $80 billion in revenue when you're selling software? That is absolutely ridiculous. Meanwhile, they also only have $12 billion in cash and cash equivalents. Now that we've established Red Hat and IBM as far as their fundamentals, let's get into this record-breaking software deal. IBM has decided to purchase a company called Red Hat, which last year did revenue of $3 billion. Not bad, right? Still a young company, revenue of $3 billion. But they did net income of $260 million. Now, I am aware that most companies in Red Hat's position must keep reinvesting into the business in order to keep growing and expanding. However, if you are making $3 billion in revenue and you only made $260 million in net income, I don't see how your business can be valued at $34 billion, which is why IBM, this is their last-ditch effort in a chance to get into the software business. As you know, Google and Amazon and Salesforce and the like have absolutely changed the world and the software industry. IBM had been falling behind, and the reason they had been falling behind is due to their ERP systems slowly dying and getting out of rotation. Their ERP systems were used when manufacturing and selling was a one-time thing. Now that many companies are transitioning into software as a service and subscription, the economy is underway. They are struggling to use ERP systems in order to maintain their financials. Thus, many companies no longer use them. And I want to talk about why IBM is going to die even though they just bought the number one software open source platform named Red Hat. Number one, they paid a 60% premium for Red Hat. I don't know how you value a $260 million a year EBITDA business at $34 billion, considering that you already have so much debt on the balance sheet. Number two, IBM culture is not wanted anymore, especially by millennials and people that are working at these new tech companies. If you're working at Red Hat and Google and Amazon, The last thing you want to do is be put in a cubicle and be told what to do and go against all the creative thinking that is all the rage right now. If you go to Google, they have a slide in their office. Does IBM have a slide in their office? No. Is a slide making their office more profitable? Maybe not, but it's the culture that matters. However, IBM has said that they are going to keep the CEO of Red Hat and its management team in control, as well as their headquarters, as well as all their practices. But number one, how long is that going to last? Eventually, I believe IBM will eventually take over Red Hat and all of its operations, as well as it doesn't matter if you try to leave the business you just bought intact. You just bought the business. How are you going to leave the business the same? No, they're going to try to influence it, and they're probably going to try to influence it in a negative way, leading to the collapse of Red Hat. Number three, they are 5 years or more too late to this game. If they wanted to start competing with Google and Amazon and all of these software companies, they needed to, number one, either evolve their own system in their in-house in order to, number one, prevent buying a company like Red Hat for such a premium, or number two, buy a company that is small and through acquisitions, integrate them into your company in order to build them out into what you want. If you're going to buy a company that already has $3 billion in revenue, you are not going to be able to integrate them very seamlessly. Number three, and the main reason IBM is dead, is their balance sheet is upside down. I've seen bad balance sheets, but IBM's balance sheet is about 6 feet deep. They have $80 billion in debt right now after the Red Hat acquisition. That's right. If you have $80 billion in debt and $12 billion in cash and cash equivalents, then that means that number one, you're going to be paying off interest for a long time. Forget about that principal. You're not going to be able to pay that back for years. You're going to be paying interest for years. Number two, if you're taking on all this debt and you have $80 billion in debt, then you better have a very profitable company, and that money that you borrowed better be put to good use. No, IBM, not only are they highly lacking profitability, but Red Hat is also currently lacking profitability due to growth. That means that the Red Hat acquisition isn't going to be bringing in a lot to the bottom line for many years to come. What this leads to is companies like Amazon and Google, which have a spectacular balance sheet with billions and billions of dollars available to use, not worrying about IBM buying Red Hat, because not only do they have their own software, but also because IBM is underwater. They are about to go upside down. IBM's credit rating actually got downgraded by the S&P from an A+, which I don't know how they were at an A+ with $50 billion in debt and $12 billion in cash before the acquisition, to an A after buying Red Hat. Due to all these issues, even though it may seem that buying Red Hat was a good opportunity for IBM, they fucked it up. I'm sorry for my language, but there's no other way to put it. IBM has royally screwed themselves into the grave. They were already dying due to them not evolving, and now with this acquisition and this load of debt on them, I don't see how they can make it past 5 years. Now, will the company file for bankruptcy next year, in 2 years? No, probably not. But do I see them succeeding and becoming a number one software platform like they were before? I don't believe so. Big Blue has been around since 1912, and they have been one of the longest standing software companies in the world. However, I think that Watson is nearing its old age, and not only is he in a retirement home right now, but he just caught a fever. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe so you don't miss out on any more videos, and as always, let me know what you think of the Red Hat acquisition by IBM. Have a great day.